you can just take a second, and these are the things that we hope to accomplish.
Just another quick note that if you have any questions as we are going through some of the slides, feel free to type your question in the chat. If it's applicable to the slide that we are currently talking about, we will address it at the end of the slide, and all other generalized questions will be saved towards the end. Okay, so why do we celebrate achievement? So we do know, according to that brain research, that the students in K1 really do need to be in ST Math for 60 minutes a week, and 2 through 8 need to be 90 minutes a week. We know within that time, there is that productive struggle and perseverance that we're working through. So we have decided to celebrate student achievement to kind of get them to reach those goals. So we know that that achievement comes and the students are able to reach their potential within ST Math when they meet those time goals or the time allotments. So we have a couple takeaways that we are going to share, ideas that we're going to share with you today on things that you might implement to encourage teachers and students to reach that time goal, because according to the brain research, if they are working towards that goal and reach that goal, things will fall into place. So we do a lot of things at the district level for Fairfax County to engage our staff in ST Math. So we do know that the first part to achieving success within ST Math is to get our staff on board and motivated. So our county has in the past required modules for training. So last school year was the first year that our entire county had the program. Tracy and myself, our schools had it the year before. So last year when the county adopted the school-wide program, they required in that work week back to school and a couple times throughout the year, ST Math training that the county kind of put their own spin to. For this year, we did require our teachers to take the 5 modules within ST Math. That was that refresher course. It was asynchronous. It took about 40 minutes for them to complete it on their own, and then we came together as a group to discuss. Some other things that we have done within our schools is that Tracy and I in our math resource teacher positions have led or provided and led choice professional development sessions. A lot of them were targeted specifically to the new staff who missed out on what we launched as a county last year. And some of those sessions, and it was also a refresher of some of the key aspects of ST Math. And so some of those sessions that we did offer was about reviewing the dashboard, how to do a puzzle talk, how to assign objectives with students for specific students. We reviewed the ST Math and county developed resources to help implement ST Math, which we will show you some of those later. And some of those would be puzzle trackers, postcards, the guidebooks, and some of those facilitating questions. So a lot of what we did went more in depth than those ST Math refresher courses offered. Another thing that we've done to really engage our staff in ST Math is embedded professional development within our team meetings. So at my school, I meet with each team around math in our collaborative teams for 1 hour a week. So as needed and as things arise, I do embed that side by side in time just in time professional development with them. So some of the things that we've done is reviewed the puzzle talks. We've also, reviewed how to assign assignments, assign specific strands, gone into how you can turn off your journey when a student has assignments for specific students. One thing that we've also highlighted is that when you assign specific objectives for students, that it can be used as a part of a tier 2 intervention for some of those foundational skills that they might be missing or have been identified as areas for growth. Another thing that our county or our district has kind of put a lot of time and effort to is our pacing guides have specific puzzle talks and strands that you can assign to students that correlate with the units that we are teaching. And the goal of that is to kind of maximize the efficacy of the puzzles to align more so to what they are learning.
So now we're going to kind of jump into some of those things that Christy was referencing. And we're going to talk about how we have worked on really celebrating ST Math in the classroom, at the classroom level. And one of the things that we've used, like a lot of the stuff that we use is stuff straight from ST Math. And in the chat is a link to the presentation. And these things are these are hyperlinks for you to take you right to the ST Math website. But one of the things that we've used is the GG postcards to celebrate as the classes get to a certain percentage through ST Math. Those are fun because this year they added coloring pages and they learn a little bit about the world as Gigi travels around the world. This bulletin board is one that we used a couple years ago with the ST Math postcards, and they could kind of move their Gigi around the world as they made progress. And the kids were so excited to move their Gigi and to see their progress as they moved around the world. One of the other things that we've used to kind of help organize and kind of help students make goals and see how they're progressing across their goals is the goal setting trackers, where they Christy was mentioning before with our K1, that goal of 60 minutes, and 2-8 the goal of 90 minutes, and the set number of puzzles that they have, where they can see if they met their goal or they didn't meet their goal. And we've kind of over time shifted more to focusing on those puzzles and trying in our grades 2-8, really trying to get to at least 60 puzzles or more. We've kind of seen the benefit of taking a shift from time to puzzles, and really as they're acquiring those puzzles, they're hitting that time goal. The more puzzles they solve, the more problem solving they're doing. And in the end, it's really benefiting the students. And then we've celebrated some individual success with some of our classes did something called Penguin of the Week, where any student that met their goal, they would have their name put on like a digital, like a virtual spinner. And during morning meeting, they would spin the spinner, and that student would have some special responsibilities. Our second grade students went crazy over Penguin of the Week. They were so excited to one, to be on the spinner to celebrate their achievement, and then two, if they were chosen, that was really, really special as well for them. Now, celebrating at the school level. So celebrating at the school level, we've done some school challenges. At my school, we're trying to do one challenge a quarter. So we did a fall challenge. Right now we're in the middle of this ST Math Bowl right now. And then in March, we're going to do a ST Math Madness, like the basketball March Madness, where we have brackets. And so like this is an example of a bracket that we had, and we did like a primary bracket and an upper grades bracket. And the teachers and kids have gotten really, really excited about these school challenges. And you know, like they might win a golden GG certificate that you can print off from the ST Math website. And the kids are so proud of themselves for their achievement. And I saw that in one of like the discussion through Whova, somebody asked, how do you get teachers who maybe are a little bit resistant on board? And I feel like these school challenges have been where we've kind of gotten some investment from some teachers that maybe aren't completely sold on the brain research yet. And kind of like we've kind of gotten a little bit of buy-in through some healthy competition. And you know, that like that's something that has been helpful for the kids and for the teachers. And really ultimately, if the teachers buy in, then the kids, like that helps the kids buy in, and that gets the kids on as well. And then we've done things like shouting out on the, we have a news show that broadcasts in classrooms in the morning. And so shout outs on the news show. We've had some ST Math bulletin boards like this one here, where they kind of watch GG rise to the top, where they can celebrate, you know, their grade level and their grade level achievement. So I see a question about some of the challenges. So the goals have been different. And when we did the fall one, we set a goal. If your class met the goal of an average, I think it was an average of a class average of 60 puzzles, then all those classes earned a certificate. The one that we're doing right now for the ST Math Bowl, it's the highest class at each grade level for the highest class average of puzzles at each grade level. And so you can kind of make the parameters what you want to make the parameters. And something that we, when we first started using ST Math, and when we were making goals at grade levels, different grade levels had different goals. They went in and they looked at their dashboard and they were like, well, you know, our kids are really only doing 20 puzzles a week, and 60 puzzles is like, feels way off. That feels way far. So we were like, okay, well, let's set the goal for 30 puzzles. And then once classes are meeting that goal of 30 puzzles, okay, now let's try for 45. And kind of baby steps to get to whatever the desired outcome was. That's something that was helpful for us when we were first starting out.
Tracy, I'm just going to add one thing about that. Also, like last year when we did some of the challenges, we started it off with the goal of minutes. So we did the average number of minutes spent in there. As we were all getting accustomed to this program, but as this became part of the students' math workshop, we did have that time, and we were looking at the puzzle average, because we did have some students, as I'm sure you're all familiar with, figure out that you can have the screen up and running and it counts minutes as long as you are doing something in there. So we had to add a layer to sustain their motivation.
Thanks, Christy.
So celebrating at the district level. So once again, like Tracy mentioned, we are Fairfax County Public Schools. We have, and Tracy, I don't know if you know the correct number, but we have about 130 plus elementary schools in our district.
180 elementary schools.
Oh, wow.
We're a pretty large district.
That's crazy. So one thing that our district or county does is our ST Math Education Success Manager sends reports to our director of K-12 mathematics. So our education success manager in the past has been Terrell. She emails Dr. Amy Hunter, and then the director of K-12 mathematics, Dr. Hunter, sends out the reports on the school's quizzes. Those school quizzes analyzes the overall grade level growth based on ST Math pre and post quizzes. So that growth analysis does break it down to the number of objectives where growth was shown, average scores on the pre and post quizzes, as well as highlights that overall effect size of the program on specific grade levels. What I have done in the past is then presented that to teachers and say, to really, as that added layer of this program works. So unless they are in their classes quiz reports looking at the pre and post assessment, they might not fully understand the impact that ST Math is having, not only in their classrooms in our school, but at the district as well. So that is something that we highlight, because we know for them to reach their full potential, they need to do either 60 or 90 minutes in the program. And so we know that that's a lot of valuable time to invest into your math workshop. So we want to prove to you that it is worth that investment of time. And it has kind of helped us celebrate that you are dedicating and doing this hard work to prioritize this for your students, and it is showing. Another thing that our county's director of K-12 mathematics does is occasionally sends out those top 5 schools in the district. So I will say, but Tracy and I are both at Lane and Providence. So it kind of talks about that talks about that competitiveness that some of our teachers have to increase their buy-in to get this up and running successfully in their classrooms.
So kind of in summary now, kind of the first place that when we're celebrating, the first place is that staff buy-in of the brain research behind why we use ST Math, and then the student buy-in. So that's relatively easy. GG is pretty engaging. The puzzles are great. Productive struggle is so important because it really empowers the students to persevere, and kind of I feel like we've seen like a building of relationship almost with the teachers and the students by the teachers facilitating and asking those good questions, and then the students feeling that success, and they kind of feel that that tie to the teacher a little bit too, like, oh wow, like this teacher told me that I could do it, and I did, and and I can see achievement and I can see growth, and really that teacher facilitating the learning. And we found that really the whole point of like why we celebrate is really trying to get to that full potential of problem solving with ST Math, and this problem solving model that ST Math has adopted, the notice and wonder, predict and justify, test, observe, analyze and learn, and then make connections. Like we found that really this this model is not just for ST Math, it's for all learning. Students need to kind of access this model when they're doing science, when they're reading and making connections and inferences all throughout the day. When students are problem solving, they're going through this model, and as was said at the beginning, really like teaching and supporting our students with the 21st century skills that they need in order to be productive math students. And we can see this process definitely through ST Math with puzzle talks and supporting a student when they're stuck, and really so much more. And kind of the why we celebrate is for those students and for that problem solving that we see that happens for students. So we are near the end, so we wanted to open it up and see if anybody had any questions for us.
Tracy and Christy, this is Nicole, and I absolutely love Penguin of the Week. I am going to take that and run with it. That was a great idea. And then for everyone on the line, everything that Christy and Tracy have gone through with you today, you can get into your console and look at the support tab. It's at the top right-hand corner. You can click there and type in puzzle talks or data trackers, journal entries, and there's just a plethora of resources for you to use. So this was awesome for me to see, and I love your pictures and Penguin of the Week. I learned a lot. And we'd love to hear from you in the chat feed. What did you like the most, or what did you learn, or what do you want to try?
Hi, for those of us that are new to Puzzle Talk, could you go ahead and just briefly give me a little overview of what exactly a Puzzle Talk is?
Sure. So a puzzle talk is choosing any game in ST Math and kind of going through really going through the problem solving process, and starting with what do you notice? What do you wonder on the screen? What do you see? What predictions what predictions do you make? Okay, now let's test and see what happens. We're going to watch the animation and we're going to really analyze and learn, and we can use annotation tools within the program to write on the screen or pause or playback, whatever we want to do with the animation. And then we can kind of go through that cycle again. If Gigi didn't get across the screen, what other predictions can we make for what we might want to try next? And then we're going to test and observe. And then what connections can we make to the math that we're learning? And so we have worked, Christy and I have both worked for our district on putting some puzzle talks in to align with the curriculum. And if like when we're in a ratio unit, really pulling out some of those monster puzzles, or for sixth grade. So it's kind of like we use them a lot as warm-ups. And then I see someone shared an article in the chat that's really helpful too on puzzle talks.
Awesome, thank you so much.
Yeah, and also about puzzle talks, when we first launched this in our school 2 years ago, so we had our ST Math implementation specialist come in and kind of model that for us. And then I kind of, as the math resource teacher, then went into various classrooms and modeled that. We did a lot of video recording of that as well, and did send that out to teachers within our school and within the district as well, to kind of Because it's one thing to read about it, it's one thing, but it's another thing to like see it and see somebody else do it. So we kind of leveraged that as well.
And then I'm going to show you guys an example. I saw there was a question about like what it might look like matching the puzzle talks in. And so I'm going to show you guys. Can you guys see? Oops. Can you guys see this?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is a 5th grade pacing guide. And so we have, or sorry, this is a 3rd grade advanced pacing guide. And so we kind of put some like within for examples for something that somebody could use for a focus lesson. We linked in for place value. Some like, and when you click on the links, it goes directly to the ST Math objective for finding that game. And then and we even went down to the level, like this level 3 would be a good one for a puzzle talk.
Tracy did allude to it earlier. Tracy and I spent, it wasn't this past summer, it was the summer before, quite a bit of time as a curriculum project working for the county to kind of really match and dig through some of those games, because some of the levels were better than others. Some of the puzzles within the level were better than others for the specific objectives that we needed to cover. So it did take some time, but because of that, we now have this resource that all of our teachers in the county can kind of tap into.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you for that question.
Oh, and I do see that somebody posted in the chat that there is recording national webinars on Puzzle Talks to check out. Thank you.
And then I see another question about the Penguin of the Week. So for the Penguin of the Week, the teachers kind of came up with what the kids get to do for that. For I know for one class, they got to help with the that class was using the ST Math passports, and so that kid that week got to help update the passports, and I know like others have used it for like maybe that person gets to help do some special technology things for the week. So it was kind of up to the teacher to decide what privileges or job the kid got for the Penguin of the Week. We have participated in some of the mind contests on social media, yes.
And my school has not, so that is something that I will be checking out.
I know there's the winter waddle is going on right now.
We did March Math Madness last year, ST Math Madness. And one thing that we did, so we ended up, it was a school-wide competition, and then I was just very strategic about who I placed together to compete against each other. We did have 4 winners that ended, and we just kind of left it there. And so we did incentivize both teacher and staff in that one, because I do know that especially we have some very competitive teachers at my school, and so I wanted to leverage that. So the prize was for teachers was I bought them an ST Math t-shirt. I do think they're like $10 or $15, and then the students got some kind of incentive as well. So I think the students who were at school, this was during the time that we were teaching concurrently. So we had a few students that were online only. So we did, so I think the at school students maybe got a popsicle or something comparable. And then the at home kids came, I set up a pickup time and they could come to school and pick up their prize.
Yeah. And so for me, it's kind of similar. So I have a Cricut, which is a cutting machine. And so I made the teachers t-shirts that had Gigi on them. And I also made them some masks with Gigi. And then for the kids, I got on Amazon, I got some pencil pouches, and we personalized them with Gigi. So the kids got a pencil pouch. And I think we had gotten some ST Math pencils,
Yeah.
or we had penguin pencils or something. So the kids got a pencil pouch and a pencil, and they loved it. That's a great question. Is Gigi Day officially April 30th? I was looking and I was trying to find that, but I couldn't find it published yet. Nicole, do you know?
That's what I have.
Okay. Yeah.
So yes, and we've had some great questions come through about Gigi Day. Have you guys in the past planned activities or things like that? So if you want to talk about that.
Yeah. So this last year we did a kind of a big celebration with Gigi Day, because that was near the beginning when students were coming back into the building. And so ST Math has some great origami and Gigi Sudoku, like really ST Math has so many resources. And so we did we did the Sudoku and origami, and we really kind of just made the whole day about Gigi. The kids had just an absolute blast. Christy, you want to add on?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, we did not do Gigi Day last year, but we will be participating this year. I did see a question in the chat. Did the class that have the most puzzles move on each week? The short answer is yes, but we also had an overall winner that was eliminated because we wanted to do that because nobody likes getting knocked out of first round, and we wanted to keep them motivated as well, and the teachers too. So that's kind of why we had a like 2-tier. So one, you could be one of the last the finalists, or you could be the knocked out winner, for lack of better terms.
Well, thank you guys so much.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, Gigi Day is 4/29 this year.
Thank you, Doreen. I had 4:30 also, so I will make that change.
Is that maybe a Friday? Is that maybe why?
I have to look at, I was looking at my calendar earlier and I had that on my
Friday.
calendar, so.
Yeah, the 30th is a Saturday, so that makes sense.
All right. Thank you very much. Yep. So we'll definitely get some.
Yeah, and the last thing I would add, if there are no more questions, is that on that last slide is our contact information. So if you do have any questions, feel free to reach out to one or both of us.
All right. Thank you, guys. Yes, I agree. Mind has the Mind blogs have so many fun activities.